recognize that the Champlain Valley Unitarian Universalist Society gathers on the land seized from the Western Abenaki people by European colonizers. We respect the Abenaki spiritual relationship to the land and the waters of the Champlain Valley. As we gather, we pay homage to them, their ancestors and future generations by committing ourselves to building a more inclusive, just, and respectful space for all. Good morning, all. Good morning. It is so good to see you. Welcome to Champlain Valley Unitarian Universalist Society, both in person and online. If this is your first time joining us, we welcome you to bring your whole self with all your truths and doubts, your worries and hopes. We also encourage you to sign our guest book in the foyer so we can get to know you better and offer opportunities of engagement throughout the week and through our weekly blast. Thank you, Laura. Champlain Valley Unitarian Universalist Society offers inclusive community, spiritual provisions, and religious education, thereby encouraging lives of meaning, integrity, and service. We are a welcoming congregation, open to all who find our emphasis on personal religious integrity and commitment meaningful. Who am I? I am Esther Charleston, a member of this congregation. And today I am honored to serve as the worship associate to George, I called you George, Gregory Akimbe. I promise you we're friends. Our families know each other. Our children's play together. This was awkward. Okay. Greg, thank you for being here. Yes. So let me tell you a little bit about Greg. So Greg was born in the vibrant city of Miami, where the sun always shines and the beaches never disappoint. He has since exchanged the iconic palm beaches of Miami for the serene maple trees of Vermont. Woo! We celebrate that. Thank you, Greg. He's still on the learning curve of mastering snow shoveling without turning it into a chiropractic challenge. Welcome to for all of us, yes. He graduated from Duke University. His journey there wasn't just about academic enlightenment. It was also where he honed his leadership skills as the esteemed captain of the football team. And so his tenure was marked with games that were memorable for more than just the scores. Think legendary team dinners and camaraderie that could give any sport movie a run for its money. So that's beautiful to imagine. I love that you did that. As a seasoned Salesforce.com consultant and project manager, Greg blends his tech savvy and his knack for management. In the past, Greg had a career as a campus minister, and now he's on a new journey. So Greg is also an adventurer at heart. So he made a road trip from Miami to California, and while on that trip, decided to take an impromptu hiking saga at the Grand Canyon with his brother. So adventure calls him. Well, He's not on that same adventure here in Vermont, but the journey continues, where now he is a community member here, and a husband and father, and a friend. Yay, Josiah! Just in case you were wondering, that was Greg and Vanessa's beautiful son running down the aisle. Okay. So there are many pathways to connection here. And so please check out your bulletin and it will let you know what the options are. Thank you. And now for our call to worship, written by me, leaning into the mystery. Lean into the mystery of life, the mystery of birth, the mystery of death, the mystery of joy, the mystery of change, the mystery of grief, sorrow, and pain, the mystery of love, its healing powers, and grace. We lean in. And now, For our chalice lighting, thank you, Poppy. Written by Jim Scott. For all of life and gifts we hold sacred, we raise our voices. For all our relations, we will meet with compassion and grace. We raise our voices. For justice and peace and the health of all cycle of life, we raise our voices. For the celebration of all who themselves cannot or may not, we raise our voices. For the remembrance of those who have taught, led, or inspired us, we raise our voices. For this moment in time that we are granted to share the wealth of each other's presence, we raise our voices. For the power of our collective voice and concerted action with vision and love, we raise our voices.
I've got an itching on the tips of my fingers. I've got a boiling in the back of my brain. I've got a hunger burning inside me, cannot be denied. I've got a feeling that the Father who made us, when he was kindling the pulse in my veins, he left a tiny spark of that fire smoldering inside. The spark of creation is flickering within me. The spark of creation is blazing in my blood. A bit of the fire that lit up the stars and breathed life into the mud. The first inspiration, the spark of creation. I see a mountain and I want to climb it. I see a river and I want to leave shore. And there is nothing, let there be something, something made by me. There's things waiting for me to invent them. There's worlds waiting for me to explore. I am an echo of the eternal cry of let there be spark of creation, burning bright within me. The spark of creation won't let me rest at all until I discover, build or uncover a thing that I can call my celebration of the spark of creation. The spark of creation, may it burn forever. The spark of creation, I'm a keeper of the flame. We think all we want is a lifetime of pleasure, a perfect day the same, and this vacation. Well, that's alright if you're a kind of crustacean, but when you're born with an imagination, sooner or later you're feeling the fire get hotter and higher. Spark of
someone who works at Charterhouse here in Middlebury. Depending on the day, Vermont has the second or third highest rate of homelessness per capita in the United States. Our rate has increased 150% since 2020. There are systemic intersectional reasons that people become homeless: socioeconomic oppressions, disparity and impoverishment, substance use and lack of adequate recovery support, mental illness and lack of adequate treatment options, domestic violence, disintegration of family bonds, the prison to homelessness pipeline, the foster care to prison to homelessness pipeline, and more. Yet experience indicates the most effective approach to begin the end of homelessness is through individual connection. Engaging one human being at a time, going into the intersections, being present, seeing each individual, validating their worthiness, and offering them safe, nourishing space to help them release enough stress and shame to at least start the process of stabilization. That space in Middlebury is Charter House. The people who welcome and support the unsheltered members of our community are the staff and volunteers of the Charter House Coalition and our partners. Charter House is a rare, low-barrier shelter, which means we are full of humanity. The 27 souls that reside at our house, and up to 6 more in nightly overflow, include those most of society has tossed aside. IV drug users, the mentally ill and untreated, the formerly incarcerated, queer folks disowned by their families, fathers and mothers of children that don't return their calls, and children whose often well-to-do families have simply given up on them. And we have a long waiting list. These are the ones we bring into Charter House, first giving them the basics of a warm place to sleep, a structured daily routine, nutritious food to eat, showers, clothing, and an address, 27 North Pleasant Street, so that they can do complete job applications and receive benefits. Then we assess their needs and connect them to partner services, mental health counseling, addiction coaching, employment support, housing applications, and more. We are not a boarding house. We are a temporary transitional shelter, which means we are intensely focused on helping people transition into secure non-shelter housing. It's a 7-day-a-week, 24-hour-a-day endeavor. I wish I could tell you that we're winning the war on homelessness. But as long as this nation continues to invest more in 2- and 3-car garages than in 1- and 2-bedroom affordable apartments, the war will continue. As long as we allow our local leaders to other the unhoused members of our community as unwanted and terrorizing, the battle will continue. But I can tell you at Charter House, we do things like this. Help a single mom secure her first apartment, enabling her self-sufficiency and helping her take the next step toward reunification with her young daughter that's in foster care. We lead Addison County's 14th Agency Homeless Task Force, working collaboratively to end homelessness here, educate the public, and care for the unhoused. We have reduced the number of unhoused community members living under the Cross Street Bridge, bringing 2 into shelter and securing funds so 2 others could travel to safer destinations. We brought 2 victims of hate-inspired violence into shelter, one elderly Black Hispanic Muslim man, and the other a member of the queer community who provided overnight housing for domestic violence survivors. And we regularly serve a very unregulated, substance-dependent community member with showers, meal service, laundry, and hours of intense conversation about loss, shame, choices, and next steps. Charter House is grateful for the support of CVUUS. None of our work would be possible without the financial commitment of people who invest in their principles. Charter House, especially our guests, are also grateful that some of you have chosen to physically enter our space, feeding and spending time with some of the most disenfranchised members of our community. As you live into the principles of Unitarian Universalism, you are manifesting our community into a more equitable, just, loving, and transformed space, serving one human being at a time. Thank you.
Esther asked me to read any yellow cards that came in the basket. So she gave me a really easy assignment because there weren't any. But as we move to this time of meditation or contemplation, I would invite you to pause and just remember those beautiful words that Tom gave as a picture of the mission of Charterhouse. If you can have our neighbors on your heart and mind, that is one step towards being the light that shines in the darkness. So let us have a moment of silence and contemplation.
Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, and fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. There's nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We are all meant to shine, as children do. We were born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. It is not just in some of us, it is in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others.
Good morning. I want to reintroduce myself. My name is not George, for those of you who were here earlier. But I do want to thank Esther for inviting me not only to speak, but to reflect. I'm a father, a husband. I work full-time, and I have been in school, and so there's a lot going on. And I rarely have those moments to just press pause and say, how did I get here? So I really appreciate Esther giving me that moment and inviting me to be here with you and to share in that moment. So I also want to ask your patience, because this is my second time being here. So I may miss some things. I may not be as aware of all the things, but in case I do, I thank you in advance. I also want to say thank you to all of you in advance, because I watched Esther's video in preparation for today, and just looking back at her journey and the support you provided her. And we all know the amazing woman that Esther is and the ambitions that she has. I'm learning that today too. I learned that today. I was like, okay, I see. And she's just an inspiration. When I talk to Esther, I feel challenged, I feel inspired, and I feel loved, I feel seen. And so thank you all for being a part of that journey with her. And so today I want to share a little bit about my journey, just a little bit. And I may hit a lot of the high points. There may be some gory details that you're interested in that we just won't get into today. But as I start, I want to reintroduce myself. Gregory Akitomiwa Akinbiyi. I'm a son, a brother, a husband, and a father. My parents, Sunday and Josephine Akinbiyi, immigrated from Nigeria to America, having never been here. All they had was a map and a dream. And one thing that I loved about my parents is that sometimes it's like, it's good to be ignorant about like the challenges, and you're like, I'm just gonna press ahead. And they knew a lot, and they've started 3 businesses. They've employed over hundreds of people over the course of that time, and they're starting their 4th business. I'm like, when are y'all gonna retire? But that's my parents. They pursue excellence, and they wanna use every last drop that they have, even into their 80s and their 70s. They're like, we're not done. There's still more for them to be done. And I will say that they've given the world 3 gifts: my older brother, myself, and my younger sister. And my parents raised us Christian. And I mean, I was in church at least 3 times a week. at least 3. I mean, there was rarely a week where we were not in church setting up chairs, setting up for a function, listening to some guest speaker. And what I didn't know at the time was the discipline that they raised in us around service, about seeing beyond ourselves, but also every morning, and this is kind of crazy, every morning at 5 a.m., we woke up and prayed together as a family. Throughout my years in middle school and in high school. Now, it didn't just prepare me to show up to football practice on time or to try to squeeze in some homework before my son wakes up, but it provided to me a picture that was not glamorous, that for so many immigrant families of what it means to survive in America. That sleeping to 8, 9 is so foreign from my imagination because since I was 13 years old, I was waking up at 5 a.m. And in my 20s, moving into college, it was the existential questions. Why are we here? Is God real? What is the nature of reality? Is this all just a dream and an illusion? Are we all already dead, imagining that we're alive? These kind of crazy questions that you ask on a college campus is what led me in my own convictions to have what I would consider a born-again experience that propelled me into campus ministry, which is, at that place in North Carolina, took me into the heart of Southern evangelical Christendom. I didn't know it at the time, but I was in the heart of it in a lot of different ways. Now, obviously for certain reasons, being a black Nigerian, I felt out of place, but I endured. But at the same time, it gave me an opportunity to have conversations that for many people don't happen. I think in this room, you've probably had these conversations where you've broken bread with people who believe very different things. It allowed me to get outside of the bubble because of being a campus minister, working with and journeying alongside different students. So I broke bread and I had the privilege of literally sitting down with imams and rabbis and shamans and Buddhists and atheists and people of all different stripes of belief. And it shook me in a good way. It shook me to realize that we can live in a world where there's contradictions and paradoxes. It shook me to recognize the multifaceted personalities of self-righteousness. That it wasn't just the typical visions or imaginations that we have in our mind, but I started to realize that, man, I can be self-righteous, whether it's about respectability, about money, my intellect, political views, that it could lead to exclusion and harm. So I learned that for me, that I would need to continually challenge my mind, to open myself to rethink my position, to reevaluate my assumptions. The classic or fancy word of heuristics and how that shows up in our daily lives of where am I anchored in my opinions or in my perceptions of what's true, or even the language that I've become accustomed to using. So yet my quest wasn't just about personal enlightenment. I began to yearn and long for a deeper understanding of how does this actually show up in day-to-day life. Walking alongside families that were evicted because their landlord decided we don't want to take care of this building anymore. Walking alongside students who had mental health breakdowns and they had to leave school because now they're seeing and hearing different voices and they don't know how to reconcile what's true. This was so foreign from the way in which I was raised. But looking to address these broader systemic issues around racism, poverty, wealth inequality, mass incarceration, I was curious, like, what can I do to be a part of the solution? But as I mentioned before, I realized contradictions and paradox, that even me and my own ambition could be a part of the solution and also part of the problem at the same time. And characterizing these problems, per se, is very messy. Because I'm messy. We're messy. And this is part of the great mystery of this life. That as we are realizing our light, our brilliance, our beauty, our talents, there might be harm along the way. There might be a need to ask for forgiveness or an opportunity to renegotiate an agreement that was made. So I can honestly say I haven't found the answers. I'm on this journey with you. And now my journey has brought me to Middlebury, Vermont, where I married my bride. We moved to Vermont. We bought a house and welcomed our son. Yes, all that in a single year. So I am in search of a therapist. Anybody out there can help a brother. That's a lot to transition, a lot of transition. And now, as you saw, my son, who came up here and asking for more crackers, I start to see the world through the lens of the next generation. Like, what will the mess that he needs to navigate through? What are the beliefs and questions about himself, about his identity, about the world, what safety means, what truth means? And now I confront new fears about myself. Will he need a therapist just because I was his dad? Or the new opportunities that will be available for him that I could not even imagine. And so in closing, I know we've gone on a really fast journey through my 36 years. As I reintroduced myself as Gregory Akitomiwa Akimbiyi, a son, a brother, a husband, and a father, I want to share a closing poem. The moon casts long shadows, secrets in their sway. A symphony of darkness where mysteries hold sway. I dance with the unknown, unafraid of the night, embraced by the shadows, bathed in their gentle light. In the depths of darkness, I find a hidden spark, a glimpse of understanding, a light in the dark. With each step I take, the shadows gently fade, revealing the beauty of the mysteries I've made. Thank you.
Can we thank Greg for being open and sharing his story with us? Yes. Thank you to Greg, to Vanessa, his beautiful bride, and Josiah. And thank you to everyone that helped make this vision come to life. We have Richard in the back, Abby. We also have Rich, Liam. Thank you when I asked you last minute, because sometimes I do that, oops. And Tom for sharing. Just thank you to, oh, cameraman, thank you so much. Ronnie, just our soloist, to make this morning happened took a village, and I thank the village. And I thank you all for listening. Thank you to Greg, too, for reminding me of how far I've come. And I am so grateful that I've gotten to grow here. It's been an absolute dream, and to see my children growing here, looking forward to coming here. So thank you for being this amazing community, and let us continue to be. Blessed be.